Hello and welcome to this edition of News Today. Without delay, let's have a look at the headlines first. Union Cabinet approved modernization of command area development and water management. Centre approved deal for 26 Rafale marine fighter jets from France. Periodic Labour Force Survey, key employment, unemployment indicators for 2024 released. RBI's Monetary Policy Committee meeting held. NHRC takes suo motu cognizance of the difficulties faced by the prisoners. Japan builds 3D printed train station in just 6 hours. In a significant move towards agricultural reform and water management, the Union Cabinet has approved the modernization of Command Area Development and Water Management, also known as MCADWM. This initiative is being introduced as a sub-scheme under the Pradhan Mantri Krishi Sinchai Yojana or PMKSY, and it is scheduled to be implemented during the period 2025 to 2026. To give a bit of background, PMKSY was launched back in 2015-16. Its aim has been clear from the beginning: to enhance the physical access of water on farms, expand cultivable area under assured irrigation, and improve on-farm water use efficiency, among other objectives. Now, turning specifically to MCADWM, its main objective is the modernization of the irrigation water supply network. This means ensuring the supply of irrigation water from existing canals or other sources within a designated cluster. It will make robust back-end infrastructure for micro-irrigation by farmers from established sources to the farm gate up to 1 hectare with underground pressurized piped irrigation. In terms of technology, the scheme plans to adopt modern tools such as Supervisory Control and Data Acquisition or SCADA and Internet of Things technology. These tools will be crucial in enabling efficient water accounting and overall water management. Speaking of the potential benefits, MCADWM is expected to significantly increase water use efficiency at the farm level, while also boosting agricultural production and productivity. Furthermore, the scheme promotes sustainable farming through irrigation management transfer or IMT to water user societies, also known as WUS, who will then take charge of managing irrigation assets. Importantly, these water user societies will receive hand-holding support for the next 5 years. This support will help them connect with economic entities such as farmer-producer organizations or FPOs. Another key highlight is the aim to attract youth into farming by encouraging the adoption of modern irrigation techniques. Now, stepping back a bit to understand the broader context, let's look at the Command Area Development and Water Management Program or CAD and WM, under which this modernization effort falls. This program was originally launched in 1974-75 and was restructured and renamed as Command Area Development and Water Management or CADWM program in 2004. The core objective has remained consistent: to enhance the utilization of irrigation potential created and improve agricultural productivity and production on a sustainable basis. Since 2015-16, it has been implemented under the PMKSY Har Khet Ko Pani initiative. The program includes 2 components. On the structural side, it supports on-farm development or OFD works and the construction of field, intermediate and link drains. On the non-structural side, it provides a one-time functional grant to registered water users associations along with training demonstrations and adaptive trials focused on improving water use efficiency. With this modernization, the government hopes to strengthen the roots of sustainable agriculture through better infrastructure, technology, and community participation.
Moving ahead, the Centre has approved a major deal with France for 26 Rafale Marine or Rafale M fighter jets. These powerful jets are being acquired for the Indian Navy and will soon be deployed on India's first indigenous aircraft carrier, INS Vikrant. The Indian Air Force currently operates 36 Rafale jets, which were acquired earlier. So, what makes these jets special? Let's take a quick look. The Rafale is manufactured by Dassault Aviation, a renowned French aerospace company. It's known for its omni-role capabilities, which simply means it can carry out all kinds of combat aviation missions. from air defense and precision strikes to reconnaissance and even nuclear deterrence. It belongs to the 4.5 generation category of fighter jets and can reach a top speed of 1.8 Mach. That's nearly 2,223 kilometers per hour. Now, let's quickly understand where this aircraft stands in the broader spectrum of fighter jet generations. Starting with the fourth generation jets. These came in during the 1970s and 80s, offering the ability to switch between air-to-air and air-to-ground roles. Jets like MiG-29, F-16 and Mirage 2000 are fourth generation jets. Next came the 4.5 generation, where aircraft like the Eurofighter Typhoon and Rafale added features like stealth, radar-absorbent materials, and thrust vector control engines, basically making the fourth-gen jets even more lethal. Then we move to the fifth generation, known for advanced stealth technologies and next-level weapon systems. Examples include F-22 Raptor and China's Chengdu J-20. And now, the race for sixth-generation fighter jets is heating up between the US and China. The United States has announced plans for a new fighter jet named the F-47, while China has already flown two sixth-gen prototypes, the J-36 and J-50, in December 2024. These sixth-gen jets are expected to come packed with features like artificial intelligence integration, hypersonic capabilities, and unmanned operation potential. So clearly, we are witnessing a new era in aerial combat. And with the Rafale M joining the Indian Navy fleet, India is definitely gearing up to stay ahead in this high-tech race.
Next, we take a closer look at the recently released Periodic Labour Force Survey, Key Employment and Unemployment Indicators for 2024. To start with, the survey covered a wide sample. A total of 6,982 villages and 5,767 urban blocks were surveyed between January 2024 and December 2024. The Periodic Labour Force Survey was launched by the National Sample Survey Office, also known as NSSO, back in 2017. The objective is twofold. On one hand, it aims to estimate key employment and unemployment indicators at short intervals of 3 months, specifically for urban areas, using what's called the Current Weekly Status or CWS, referring to the 7 days preceding the date of inquiry. On the other hand, it also seeks to assess employment and unemployment indicators annually for both rural and urban areas, using both the usual status, which considers principal activity and subsidiary economic activities over the past 365 days, and the CWS. Moving on to the key highlights of the survey, let's begin with the Current Weekly Status. According to the findings, the labour force participation rate or LFPR overall remained constant at 56.2%. Meanwhile, the worker population ratio or WPR showed minimal movement, going from 53.4% to 53.5%. The unemployment rate saw a slight drop, decreasing from 5.0 to 4.9%. It's important to note that the decline in unpaid helpers in household enterprises appears to have contributed to the drop in both WPR and LFPR among rural females. As we shift focus to indicators based on principal and subsidiary status, we observe that the LFPR marginally declined from 59.8% to 59.6%. Alongside this, the WPR also saw a slight decline from 58.0% to 57.7%. In contrast, the unemployment rate experienced a small increase, moving up from 3.1% to 3.2%. Before we wrap up, let's take a moment to define the key employment and unemployment indicators for clarity. The labour force participation rate is the percentage of persons in the labour force, meaning those who are working, seeking work, or available for work in the total population. The worker population ratio refers to the percentage of employed persons in the population, and the unemployment rate is defined as the percentage of persons unemployed among those in the labour force.
Now, let's take a look at some major decisions taken in the latest Monetary Policy Committee or MPC meeting held by the Reserve Bank of India. To start with, the MPC consists of 6 members, 3 from the RBI and 3 appointed by the central government. Now, coming to the key decisions. The MPC has decided to reduce the policy repo rate by 25 basis points, bringing it down to 6% with immediate effect. For those unaware, the repo rate is the rate at which the RBI lends money to commercial banks, and a cut in this rate is aimed at boosting lending and investment. With this move, the RBI has also changed its policy stance from neutral to accommodative. An accommodative stance means that the RBI may go for further rate cuts to increase the money supply in the economy. This decision comes amid rising global economic uncertainty, triggered by recent trade tariff tensions that have impacted financial markets across the globe. Now, moving on to other key highlights of the meeting. The RBI has proposed a draft framework for co-lending arrangements or CLA between all regulated entities for all loans with a priority sector or otherwise. At present, regulations only deal with priority sector loans between banks and non-banking financial companies. Next, a major update on digital transactions. The National Payments Corporation of India or NPCI will now be empowered to set transaction limits for UPI person-to-merchant transactions in consultation with banks and relevant stakeholders. And finally, to foster innovation, the RBI's regulatory sandbox framework will now be theme neutral and available on tap.
In a significant development concerning the rights and welfare of prisoners in India, the National Human Rights Commission or NHRC has taken suo motu cognizance of the various difficulties faced by inmates across the country. Acting on this concern, the NHRC has issued notices to the Chief Secretaries of all states and union territories. These notices seek detailed reports on several pressing issues, including overcrowding in jails, a lack of basic amenities, and inadequate healthcare facilities for prisoners. Now, it is important to understand that under Schedule 7 of the Constitution of India, prisons fall under the legislative and administrative jurisdiction of the states, as mentioned in List 2. Coming to the core issues faced by prisoners, overcrowding and lack of basic amenities remains one of the most urgent concerns. Indian prisons currently operate at an occupancy rate of approximately 131.4%. To put this in perspective, under trials, that is, individuals awaiting trial, made up a staggering 75.8% of India's prison population in 2022. Adding to these challenges, less than 40% of prisons provide sanitary napkins, and only 18% have exclusive facilities for women. Speaking of women prisoners in particular, they face a violation of their rights to dignity and safety. The increased instances of violence within prisons often lead to significant mental distress. Moreover, a glaring issue is that state jail manuals do not explicitly recognize or provide for the right to reproductive choice for a woman prisoner, an omission that has raised serious concern among rights advocates. When we turn our attention to prisoners sentenced to death, we see another troubling trend. There are inordinate delays in death penalty proceedings, with the execution rate standing at just 0.3% during the period from 2006 to 2022. According to the data from the National Crime Records Bureau. Another area of concern is the persistence of discrimination within the prison system. There are reports of prison work being divided based on caste, the prevalence of manual scavenging inside jails, and the classification of prisoners based on their social status, all of which point to deep-rooted systemic issues. Now, while these issues persist, there are certain provisions that aim to improve the situation. Within India, Section 479 of the Bharatiya Nagrik Suraksha Sanhita or BNSS 2023 allows for the release of an under-trial prisoner on bail after they have undergone detention for a period extending up to one half of the maximum imprisonment period specified for the offence. Additionally, the concept of plea bargaining outlined between Sections 289 and 300 in the BNSS enables pre-trial negotiations between the defendant and the prosecution. On the global front, two major frameworks are worth noting. The Bangkok Rules, adopted in 2010 by the United Nations General Assembly, lay down the rules for the treatment of women prisoners and suggest non-custodial measures for women offenders. Complementing this, the Nelson Mandela Rules, adopted in 2015, also by the UN General Assembly, set out the standard minimum rules for the treatment of prisoners. Clearly, the NHRC's recent action brings renewed focus to the urgent need for reforms, ensuring that the rights and dignity of every prisoner are respected, regardless of their legal status or background.
Moving ahead, a fascinating development from Japan. The West Japan Railway Company, one of the country's major railway operators, has unveiled what it claims is a world first, a 3D printed train station in the city of Arita, and it was built in just 6 hours. Now, let's take a quick look at what exactly 3D printing is. 3D printing, also known as additive manufacturing, is a process of making three-dimensional objects from a digital file. The process involves laying down successive layers of material until an object is created. This is what makes it an additive process. It stands in contrast to subtractive manufacturing, where a block of material is cut or hollowed out using tools like a milling machine. So why is 3D printing gaining so much attention? Let's move on to its key advantages. It allows for the immediate realization of concepts. Designers can bring their 3D models to life quickly. There's also less dependency on workforce, which is crucial for countries like Japan, where the workforce is steadily shrinking. Customization on demand is another benefit. It can be done without changing the entire manufacturing setup. Add to that, 3D printing is cost-effective, offering savings on materials, labor, inventory, and even warehousing. It also brings more design freedom, enabling the creation of complex geometries and structures. And beyond that, it is considered eco-friendly, sustainable, and supports on-demand, on-location production, ensuring better quality overall. Let's now turn to where this technology is being applied. In manufacturing, it is used to make everything from consumer products like eyewear to industrial tools and prototypes. In advanced healthcare, it is revolutionizing the field with custom prosthetics and even bioprinting of organs like organ-on-chip models. In construction, it enables faster, more refined building, just like the Arida station example. It's also helping historical studies by reconstructing fossils and ancient artifacts. And in forensics, it aids in reconstructing evidence, especially in forensic pathology. Clearly, Japan's 3D printed train station is not just a marvel, it's a glimpse into the future of construction and innovation.
As we conclude today's main news, let's have a look at some quick updates. Registrar General of India cautions hospitals over delay in reporting events of birth and death. Registrar General of India was set up in 1949 and comes under the Union Ministry of Home Affairs. Responsibilities include conducting housing and population census under Census Act 1948. Recently, one of the world's largest container ships, MSC Turkey, docked at Birmingham International Seaport, marking a milestone in the journey of India's first deep-water transshipment port. Birmingham Port comes under the authority of Birmingham International Seaport Limited, a company fully owned by Government of Kerala. Researchers from Kerala have been awarded the Future Conservationist Award by the Conservation Leadership Programme for their project on conserving the Malabar Grey Hornbill. CLP is a partnership of Fauna and Flora International, BirdLife International, and the Wildlife Conservation Society. Study focused on mesoscale convective systems found that soil moisture may help forecast intense storms. MCS is a collection of thunderstorms that act as a system. An MCS can spread across an entire state and last more than 12 hours. These systems often bring intense rainfall, causing widespread damage. National Green Tribunal has instructed Haryana to ensure no illegal mining in Aravalli Range, which is one of the oldest folded mountains of the world, and it runs approximately 670 km in a southwest direction, starting near Delhi, passing through southern Haryana and Rajasthan, and ending in Gujarat. First no objection certificate has been issued via the newly launched digital portal for national waterways for developing a jetty on Malim on River Mandovi. Mandovi, also known as Mahadai River, is described as a lifeline of the Indian state of Goa. Recently, Microsoft CEO highlighted Jevons paradox in the backdrop of increased adoption of the AI systems globally. Jevons paradox is the idea that technological progress that makes a resource cheaper or more efficient to use often leads to an increase in demand for that resource. The Genetic Engineering Approval Committee cleared the import of genetically modified alpha hay from the US. Its final approval from India's Agriculture Ministry is pending. The US has raised concerns during trade talks. Alfalfa is a part of the legume family, but it's also considered an herb. Tripura is set to organize Jatra Utsav. It is a popular folk theatre of Bengal and Odisha. Its origin can be traced to the rise of Vaishnavism and the Bhakti movement in the 16th century, pioneered by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. It depicts a range of diverse and complex stories, including mythology. Before we sign off, let's challenge your understanding in today's installment of Test Your Learning. Thank you for joining us. We hope you found this episode of News Today engaging. For the solutions to the quiz and to access the PDF version of News Today, remember to visit the provided links in the description.